With me is Kathy Green from the farm Fallodon, and it's a great honor to be here. Morning, Kathy.
Hello, Tanya.
So tell me how the journey started. I mean, were you always a gardener?
I've always loved gardening. I grew up on a farm in the Underberg area.
Okay.
My mum loved gardening. I had two aunts who loved gardening, and we had neighbours around us who also loved their gardens. So I've always had a fascination for plants.
Did you spend time in the garden as a kid?
Yes, my mum did all the planting herself. She had very little help in the garden.
Yeah.
So in those days you couldn't buy plugged seedings.
No, absolutely.
So she propagated all her own seed, and we watched her doing that.
You've obviously brought those traditions from your mom. I know that a lot of the plants in your garden are sown. It's seeded stuff.
Yes, it is. And I have this passion of growing seed and seeing what I can grow, you know. And at one stage I actually had a whole seedling nursery with thousands of trays of seeds, supplying vegetable seeds into the local area.
What are some of your challenges here?
I think our biggest is the late frost and the water.
And then you also get snow.
Yes, we do. But that we love because it's moisture, and especially if it's late in the season.
Okay.
Because that is early rain for us, which we really long for.
And what are some of the biggest lessons you can pass on to other gardeners or gardeners that might be watching this saying, I could never get this?
The biggest thing is to start small. Really, I have very seldom ever bought more than one plant of anything. My borders started small, and the plant that I bought went in to where it could go. And slowly, as the plants increased, so the beds got bigger. And all the plants in the garden are all perennials. They all self-seed. They all come up every year. Everything in winter, there is nothing in winter, absolutely nothing. And in spring, it all starts popping. First the hellebores, then the daffodils. In every bed in this garden, there are daffodils that have just multiplied, and over the years when I do a new bed, I dig up a big clump of daffodils and plant that bed with daffodils. And how that started was my mum and dad used to give me a little pack with about 10 bulbs in for my birthday every year.
Oh,
when we were first married.
Yeah.
And that must have gone on for about 10 years. That was my birthday present, and it's the biggest gift I've ever been given, because in August, this garden looks like Little England.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Your roses are amazing. I seem to think that you prune them quite hard.
No, I don't.
You don't?
I prune them to sort of above knee height.
Okay.
Our temperatures right here, we are very cold here, and we go down for a couple of weeks in a normal winter. We go down to about minus 12 degrees, and I just find pruning them too hard.
They take longer to recover.
Yes, but what I do is every time I go into the garden, I go in with a pair of secateurs and I deadhead all the time. And that also means that I have continual roses.
Best gardening tool?
My fork and my secateurs.
Kathy, thank you so much for having us, for allowing us into your beautiful personal space. It truly is wonderful, and it's an inspiration.
It's wonderful to have someone like you encouraging people to start gardening. We have to look after this earth that we've been given, and we have to keep green things growing.
In these great gardens, we get to find many amazing plants and many makeshift items of gardening, because they can't just pop along to a hardware store or a garden centre. These beautiful garden beds that are behind me, depth 6-7 meters, my word, enough to make anybody shudder. However, the way that it's been created is to have some structure in it. So there's some roses, which are your structure, 1 or 2 big shrubs, and in between, the perennials take on a life of their own. They create their own communities, and they grow, some die, they create seeds, those fall, and the next season comes up. So at every time of the year, you're going to see something different. And I guess that is what really works in this garden. But What is allowing me and telling me, come on baby, walk down this path? Of course, it's this baby over here. Now, this is kind of a makeshift arch, but it does the job perfectly. It's a couple of poles, some bamboo, and good old cable ties, and you know I love them. Wouldn't this be an awesome idea to replicate in your garden? I love plant combinations, and for me this just works beautifully. It's a little euphorbia that comes up literally seed sown, pops up every year and does its thing, and next to it is one of the best old-fashioned annuals that you can find. You buy it in seed form, sow it and get it into your garden. It's called Love in the Mist, and look at it. They are wickedly gorgeous. It's a blue that is essentially a blue, and with the contrast in the background as the roses, fantastic. Are they tough? Yes. Do they need a lot of water? No. And can they live in full sun? Absolutely yes. This is a great combination. Isn't this wonderful? And you walk down the pathway made up of slate, crazy paving, through the phlomis, which is that beautiful yellow and grey leafed plant, arrive at the pot, which is your central feature, and then say, wow, what's beyond the gate? And that gate has a wonderful story. In fact, it was William's, Kathy's husband's, grandfather's gate. So that gate is old, was on another farm and got given back to put back into the family. And that gate leads you beyond the garden. So when you look through the beautiful arch, you taking what we call the borrowed landscape and adding it as to part of the garden. And that is so important. Yes, I know if we're in townhouses, we've got a wall. How on earth do we use a wall as a borrowed landscape? Well, folks, put up an arch and put a picture up there. Put a mirror up there, and all of a sudden, you've got a borrowed landscape. One plant that I do want to tell you about is this baby on my right. Tough as nails, Weigelia, can grow anywhere, beautiful variegated foliage, starts off a white, and then as the flowers get older, they become deeper pink. Just behind me is the most perfect color combination. Beautiful South Africa rose, probably one of the strongest roses, no nonsense, 5 of them behind me, and next to them, just off to the left, the beautiful blue delphiniums. Aren't they gorgeous? Yellow and blue, we all like that. And of course, to edge it off, a beautiful bit of white right in the front, some Shasta daisies, and of course, we could replace that with alyssum, but something like this as a general combo is wicked.